What if I told you that some of the rarest, toughest, and strangest birds in Europe aren't hiding in ancient forests or remote islands, but high above the clouds, on the rocky, freezing, almost unlivable peaks of the Alps? We're talking birds that drop bones off cliffs to eat the marrow, that sleep mid-flight, that wear fire orange wings like they're in a fashion show for ghosts. These are birds that don't just survive the cold, thin air. They own it. From vultures with blood-red eyes to tiny snow-colored birds that literally change outfits with the seasons, the Alps are home to species found nowhere else on Earth. And no, they're not just mountain pigeons. So here's the big question. What kind of bird evolves to survive avalanches, glaciers, and vertical cliffs? And why haven't you heard of them? Stick around, because today we're counting down 15 rare and incredible bird species that rule the skies, crags, and snowy silence of Europe's most legendary mountains. Some are bold, some are bizarre, and one of them might just be the strangest winged creature in all of Europe. Let's get into it. Let's kick this off with a bird that sounds made up, and honestly looks like it should be guarding treasure in a fantasy novel. Meet the bearded vulture, also called the lammergeier, aka the only bird that eats bones, on purpose. Yep, not scraps of meat, not leftovers, bones. And how does it do that? Well, this giant vulture flies up high, clutching animal bones in its massive talons, then drops them onto rocks to shatter them into snack-sized pieces. Why? So it can slurp the bone marrow inside. The bird literally invented prehistoric fine dining. Visually, it's just as dramatic. Rusty orange body, black beard under its beak, blood-red eyes, and a wingspan over 9 feet wide. Think punk rock dragon meets Greek mythology. Fun fact, that orange color? Not natural. Bearded vultures actually bathe in iron-rich soil and mud to dye their feathers. It's not for camouflage, it's makeup. They do it because it looks badass. But here's the twist. Despite their terrifying look, they rarely hunt. They're almost completely scavengers, cleaning up what others leave behind. And despite old legends calling them lamb killers, or even baby snatchers, there's zero scientific evidence for that. Just imagine being so misunderstood that you're called a villain for cleaning up bones. Today, these incredible birds live mostly in the high Alps and Pyrenees, but they're still vulnerable to habitat loss, poisoning, and bad PR. Because let's face it, being a giant, red-eyed bone crusher doesn't exactly win hearts, but maybe it should. So here's your question. Can a bird that eats bones, wears war paint, and flies like a shadow still be a hero? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Up next, we meet a bird that clings to vertical cliffs, flies like a butterfly, and almost never lets you see it. You're walking near a cliff, a sheer wall of gray rock, nothing but stone, snow, and silence. Then, flash, a burst of red flutters across the wall, like a flower just bloomed on solid rock. That wasn't your imagination. That was the Wallcreeper, possibly the most delicate badass in the entire Alps. This tiny bird looks like it's wearing a formal gray suit until it opens its wings, revealing vivid crimson-red patches, edged in black and white. It doesn't fly so much as it flutters and hovers, like a butterfly glued to the rock face. Fun fact, Wallcreepers don't build nests in trees. They find cracks and crevices high up in vertical cliffs to lay eggs. That's right, baby birds born halfway up a mountain wall? No room for acrophobia here. And their diet? Tiny insects and spiders hiding in the cracks of the rock. They use their long, curved bill to probe, poke, and pick like feathered locksmiths. Here's the twist. Wallcreepers are found across a wide area, from the Alps to Central Asia. But they're so elusive and blend in so well, most people go their whole lives without seeing one. Even seasoned birders call it a ghost bird. They prefer high altitudes, avoid human noise, and their red wings only flash when they fly, which they rarely do for long. So, if you ever spot one, you didn't just get lucky, you witnessed one of Europe's rarest alpine treasures in motion. But here's a deeper question. If something beautiful only shows itself for a second, does that make it more valuable, or just easier to forget? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Next up, a snow-colored bird that literally disappears in winter until it changes its entire outfit for summer. Imagine a bird that can vanish just by standing still. No cloaking device, no magic, just feathers. Meet the Rock Ptarmigan, a survivalist disguised as a snowball with legs. In winter, this bird is pure white, with only its beady black eyes and short beak breaking the illusion. You could walk right past one in the snow and never know it was there. And that's the point. Rock ptarmigans live in some of the coldest, most exposed parts of the Alps, where temperatures drop well below freezing, winds howl, and shelter is basically a few rocks and a dream. But this bird, it's built for it. Fun fact, ptarmigan comes from a Scottish Gaelic word meaning croaker because of its low, grumbly call. And yes, the P is silent, because English. Come summer, it pulls a wardrobe change, shedding the white feathers for a mottled gray-brown look that blends in with rocky alpine ground. The result? A year-round master of disguise. And it's not just their look. Rock ptarmigans also have feathered feet, like snowshoes, to help them walk on snow without sinking. They dig little snow burrows to stay warm during storms and feed on buds, seeds, and alpine vegetation that most animals would scoff at. But here's the twist. Climate change is closing in. As snow lines retreat and winters get shorter, ptarmigans have less time to be invisible. And sometimes their white feathers now stand out against snowless rocks. That's not just bad fashion, that's dangerous. So here's your question. What happens to a creature built for snow when the snow itself disappears? Let us know in the comments. Coming up next, a tiny bird that lives at the top of Europe has a wild social life and rewrites everything you thought you knew about monogamy. High up where trees disappear, where the rocks are bare and the wind bites through your jacket, you'll find a bird that's tiny, tough, and a little scandalous. Say hello to the alpine accentor, a bird that lives its entire life in the thin air of the Alps. No forests, no comfy valleys, just rock, ice, and sky. It's easy to miss. Brown and gray plumage, reddish flanks, a quiet, unobtrusive song that gets swept away in the wind. But don't let its plain look fool you. This bird lives at over 3,000 meters and has one of the weirdest love lives in the bird world. Fun fact, alpine accentors live in polyandrous groups. That means one female mates with multiple males in the same territory. And all the males help raise the chicks. Yes, you heard that right. No territorial fights, no one-on-one monogamy, just shared parenting and a team effort to survive the mountains. Why? Because up here, food is scarce, winters are long, and teamwork makes the chick work. Males don't even know which chicks are theirs, so they just help feed all of them, just in case. It's like a mountaintop co-op, except with feathers and zero drama. Here's the twist. Because alpine accentors live at such high altitudes, they're often overlooked in bird surveys, but they're incredibly resilient. They've adapted to a world most species can't even breathe in. Still, as temperatures rise, they're being pushed even higher, toward mountaintops that might one day be too warm or simply too small. So here's your question. Is it better to fight over love or share it to survive? Let us know what you think in the comments. Next up, a jet black bird with red legs, yellow beak, and the aerobatic skills of a stunt pilot, all set against a snowy alpine sky. Ever seen a bird do stunts just for the fun of it? Meet the alpine chough, a jet black bird with red legs, a bright yellow beak, and the flying skills of a mountainside acrobat. You'll spot them dancing through the air above snowy cliffs, diving, looping, twisting, like they're auditioning for Top Gun Alpine Edition. These birds aren't just built for high altitudes. They love it. They nest at elevations over 4,000 meters, higher than most helicopters can fly. Fun fact, alpine choughs have been recorded flying near the summit of Mount Everest. Yes, Everest. Their lungs are ultra efficient, their feathers are perfectly insulated, and they've got the stamina of marathon runners with wings, and they're not loners. Alpine choughs are super social. They move in flocks, communicate constantly, and seem to enjoy the chaos of windy peaks. Some scientists even think their aerial tricks help strengthen social bonds. So, not just showing off, it's group therapy in the sky. And here's the twist. These birds aren't just cliff dwellers. They're also opportunists. In alpine ski towns, they're famous for swooping down to grab scraps from tourists. French fries, bread crusts, gummy bears, they're in. But there's a downside. Their growing reliance on human food, combined with habitat shifts from warming temps, could mess with their natural foraging and nesting behavior. The more they depend on us, the less wild they become. So here's your question. If a bird adapts to humans, is that survival? Or are we quietly pulling them out of the wild? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Coming up, the royal ruler of the Alps, with a 7-foot wingspan, talons like daggers, and a hunting style that puts most predators to shame. Some birds perch, some birds flutter, but this one, it rules the sky. Meet the golden eagle, a massive bronze-feathered raptor with a wingspan over 7 feet, razor-sharp talons, and a gaze so intense it could probably read your soul. This isn't just a bird, it's a living legend. For centuries, the golden eagle has symbolized power, freedom, and fear. Romans carried it into battle. Alpine tribes told stories of it guarding sacred peaks. Even today, it remains a spiritual totem across multiple cultures. But strip away the myths, and what you've got is a stone-cold hunting machine. Fun fact, golden eagles can dive at over 150 miles per hour. They spot prey from more than a mile away, And they don't just grab mice or rabbits. They've been known to take down foxes, goats, and occasionally young deer. In the Alps, they patrol wide territories, soaring silently over snowfields and ridges. They build giant nests called eyries on cliffs so remote, even climbers struggle to reach them. And they mate for life, which, let's be honest, is kind of romantic for a creature that kills with its feet. But here's the twist. Golden eagles are apex predators, and yet they're not untouchable. Habitat loss, poisoning from lead ammunition, and wind turbines placed in migration corridors have all chipped away at populations across Europe. Even in the Alps, their numbers remain fragile, especially where tourism and hunting intersect. And that raises a deeper question. Can true wildness survive in a world that keeps getting louder, faster, and smaller? Let us know what you think in the comments. Coming up, we go from sky royalty to snow camouflage masters. Meet a bird that vanishes in plain sight by literally becoming part of the mountain. Okay, time to talk about a bird that's not flashy, not fierce, but still a total survivalist. Meet the snowfinch, a soft-colored, unassuming little bird that lives where most creatures wouldn't last a day. High above the tree line, where oxygen is thin, wind is brutal, and the ground is frozen most of the year, this bird thrives. It wears a humble outfit, brown wings, white belly, pale gray back. But in winter, when everything's covered in snow, that muted plumage becomes the perfect stealth cloak. Fun fact, despite looking delicate, the snowfinch nests in crevices at elevations over 3,000 meters. And yes, it sometimes raises chicks in near-freezing conditions. You'll usually spot them in small social groups, fluttering between rocks or diving into the snow to grab seeds, insects, and, believe it or not, frozen spiders. And when summer arrives, they don't move downhill, they just dig in deeper. Here's the twist. Even though they live in remote alpine zones, the snowfinch isn't totally safe. Why? Because climate change is shifting their world from the bottom up. As temperatures rise, tree lines move higher, bringing predators and competitors into their formerly safe zones. Add to that ski resorts, hiking trails, and mountaineering infrastructure, and suddenly, even the highest bird on the mountain has nowhere left to go. It's a quiet crisis, because snowfinches aren't dramatic. They don't scream, they don't flash color, they just vanish, one mountain at a time. So here's your question. Can we still appreciate creatures that don't ask for attention, but deserve protection just the same? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next up, we descend just slightly into open meadows and pre-dawn rituals, where one bird puts on the most dramatic mating dance in the Alps. Tail feathers, sounds, and all. If you thought the Alps were quiet at sunrise, think again, because before the sun even hits the snow, a strange, bubbling kuruk, whoop, echoes across the mountain meadows. That's the black grouse, and what you're hearing is a love song, kind of. This chunky mountain bird is known for its iconic lecking behavior, a daily ritual where males gather at the same spot each morning and literally dance battle for the ladies. Picture this, a half-dozen jet black males with curved lyre-shaped tails, puffed white ruffs around their necks, bright red eyebrow combs flaring like war paint, all strutting, spinning, and stomping like feathered gladiators. And the females? Yeah, they're just watching from the sidelines, judging silently like it's a reality dating show. Fun fact, these lecking sites are passed down for generations. Males return to the exact same patch of land each season, sometimes even standing in the same spots as their grandfathers. It's competitive, it's dramatic, and sometimes the top male gets all the mates, while the rest go home with nothing but sore legs and bruised egos. But here's the twist. This entire ritual only works if the habitat stays intact, meaning undisturbed meadows, forest edges, and low alpine shrublands. And today, many of those open areas are vanishing. Agricultural expansion, fencing, roads, even off-trail hikers. They all interrupt the ancient rhythms of black grouse life. Worse, because their plumage blends into the shadows, collisions with ski lifts and wires are an increasing threat. So here's your question. Should we protect space for a dance that's been going on since the Ice Age, even if most people never get to see it? Let us know in the comments. Coming up, we meet a speckled forest dweller with an obsessive memory, a huge beak, and a secret mission, planting the future of the Alps, one pine seed at a time. If there was a bird with a secret superpower, it might just be this one. Meet the nutcracker, a speckled, sharp-beaked corvid that looks like a cross between a woodpecker and a galaxy. Brown body dotted with bright white specks, and a sturdy wedge-shaped bill that seems built to crack open secrets. But here's what makes this bird legendary. It doesn't just eat pine seeds, it hides them in thousands of places. And then it forgets where it put a few. Simple? Maybe. But those forgotten seeds, yeah, they become entire pine forests. Fun fact, a single nutcracker can store over 30,000 seeds in one season. It caches them in the ground, under snow, in bark crevices, anywhere it can find. Its spatial memory is off the charts. But even a memory master misses a few, which in this case is great news for trees. That makes the nutcracker one of the most important seed dispersers in high-altitude conifer forests. And when climate change pushes the tree line higher, guess who helps the forest move uphill? This bird. But here's the twist. Nutcrackers rely heavily on stone pines and other cone-bearing trees. If those trees disappear due to logging, fire, or warming, so does the bird. And once the nutcracker disappears, regrowth slows down dramatically. It's a delicate cycle. Tree feeds bird, bird plants tree. Repeat for centuries. So here's your question. What if the future of the Alps is hiding inside the beak of a bird most people never notice? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Next up, we meet a jet black genius with a voice like a myth, a brain like a toolbox, and a starring role in legends from Iceland to the Alps. Big, black, and maybe smarter than your dog. Meet the common raven, a bird so smart, so iconic, it shows up in Viking myths, alpine folklore, and modern science labs. And it earns every bit of that reputation. With glossy jet black feathers that shimmer purple in the right light, a deep, echoing craa, and a wingspan that commands attention. The common raven is not just a bird, it's a presence. These birds are found throughout the Alps, soaring over cliffs, lurking near mountain huts, and sometimes just watching silently. But don't underestimate them. Fun fact, ravens are tool users. Yup, they can solve puzzles, open containers, and even plan ahead. They've been seen dropping stones to break ice and working in pairs to distract and steal. Basically, alpine masterminds with feathers. They also mimic sounds, including human voices, goat bleats, and even the whistles of marmots. Why? No one really knows. Maybe just for fun, which is even more terrifying. But here's the twist. Despite their wide range, ravens are deeply tied to human culture. In alpine legend, they're seen as messengers, tricksters, or omens, depending on who's telling the story. In Norse mythology, they flew beside Odin. In the Alps, they're said to guard mountain treasures, lead travelers astray, or protect them. And today we're learning just how complex their social lives are. Ravens mourn their dead, recognize individual humans, and form lifelong bonds. They're not just surviving the mountains, they're watching them, understanding them, maybe even judging us a little. So here's your question. If a creature watches, learns, remembers, and mourns, is it still just a bird? Let us know what you think in the comments. Up next, we return to the shadows to meet a bird that sings like a flute, hides among cold stones, and wears loneliness like a feathered cloak. If the Alps had a soundtrack, this bird would sing the opening note. Meet the ring ussel, a mountain thrush with a voice like a flute in the fog. At first glance, it might look like a blackbird with fancy accessories, sleek black plumage, pale beak, and a clean white crescent on its chest. Like it's wearing a formal vest to a very quiet party. But don't expect to find them dancing in the village square. Ring ussels live alone, in the high, stony elevations of the Alps, far from the crowds, far from the noise. They prefer the edges, rocky slopes, glacial valleys, scattered pines, places where most birds and most people don't bother going. Fun fact, despite being thrushes, yes, the same family as robins and blackbirds, ring ussels are altitude specialists. They breed at elevations up to 2,500 meters and are one of the few songbirds that actually thrive in such harsh alpine zones. And when they sing, it's not just for show. Their song is clear, whistling, and almost melancholic, like someone trying to remember a song they haven't heard in years. It echoes through the valley in early mornings when the mist is still thick and the wind hasn't woken up yet. But here's the twist. Ring ussels are in decline across much of Europe. Why? Because alpine meadows are shrinking, climate change is creeping upward, and grazing, tourism, and habitat disturbance are all pushing them out of their comfort zone. Their world is thinning, just like the air they breathe. And though they might not be flashy or famous, they represent something timeless. A bird that sings not for attention, but for solitude. So here's your question. If a song is beautiful, but no one's there to hear it, does it still matter? Let us know in the comments. Next up, a tiny bird with a fiery tail, a rock star attitude, and enough charm to brighten up even the grayest alpine wall. Some birds blend in, others stand out, but this one, it smolders. Say hello to the black redstart, a tiny mountain songbird with a fire in its tail. Males have dark slate-gray bodies, white wing flashes, and a vibrant orange-red tail that flickers like it's plugged into a power source. Seriously, it's like the bird version of a glowing ember. And even though it looks delicate, this little guy is a certified survivor. You'll find black redstarts perched on rocky outcrops, chimneys of alpine cottages, even abandoned ski lifts. They've turned the Alps and the crumbling architecture around it into their personal concert stage. Fun fact, that tail, it doesn't just look good, it twitches constantly, a signal to other birds that says, I see you, I'm alert, don't mess. They're one of the few songbirds that thrive in disturbed or urbanized alpine zones, nesting in crevices, drain pipes, and stone walls. Adaptable, tough, and not afraid of a little noise. Their song is a quirky mix of trills and scratchy buzzes. Part bird, part modem, part angry jazz solo. It's weird, it's charming, and once you've heard it, you'll never unhear it. But here's the twist. While black redstarts are relatively stable in population, their habitat choices put them at constant risk. From renovations, modern buildings, and disappearing old structures they rely on. In nature, they can handle cliffs and avalanches. But gentrification, that's a whole other predator. So here's your question. If a species adapts to us, do we have a responsibility to adapt back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Next, we head back to the cliffs, where a daredevil flyer with dusty brown wings and a sky-high lifestyle makes its home in the most vertical places imaginable. Some birds build nests in trees, others pick cozy nooks in barns. But the Eurasian crag martin, it looks at a sheer cliff face and says, yep, perfect. This dusky little swallow doesn't have flashy colors, no iridescent feathers, no rainbow tail. Instead, it's dressed in humble tones of brown and gray, like it just rolled out of the mountain itself. But don't let the subtle style fool you. Crag martins are elite flyers, zooming up and down vertical rock walls, dipping into narrow crevices, and catching insects mid-air with surgical precision. Their wings are broad and powerful, built for short, explosive flights. And their flight style? Less ballet, more parkour. Fun fact, crag martins build their nests out of mud, but not just anywhere. They construct bowl-shaped nests directly on cliff faces or high ledges, often under overhangs where rain can't reach. Think, natural architecture with a weatherproof plan. Even more impressive, they do it in colonies. Dozens of pairs nesting on the same rock wall, like a vertical neighborhood buzzing with life. But here's the twist. In some parts of the Alps, crag martins are adapting to modern structures. Abandoned tunnels, bridges, concrete dams. Yep, even the infrastructure we leave behind can become bird real estate. Still, their natural alpine homes are vulnerable. Rock slides, climate shifts, and human disturbance can wipe out entire nesting zones overnight. They may not make the headlines like eagles or macaws, but these quiet flyers are part of the mountain's living pulse. So here's your question. Does a bird need bright colors to have a brilliant life? Let us know in the comments. Next up, we look skyward for a bird that almost never comes down. It eats in the air, sleeps in the air, and flies across countries without landing. Let me ask you something. When do birds sleep? Most perch on branches, some nest on cliffs. But the alpine swift, it just keeps flying. Yes, this bird can stay in the air for up to 200 days straight. That's almost 7 months. Eating, drinking, sleeping, all while flying. Welcome to the world of the alpine swift, one of the most extreme aerial athletes in the animal kingdom. It's big for a swift, nearly the size of a swallowtail kite, with long boomerang-shaped wings and a sharply forked tail, dark brown above, white below, like a minimalist jet. And when it's in the air, good luck keeping up. These birds are fast, agile, and totally untethered. No rest stops, no hotel bookings, just pure flight. Fun fact, alpine swifts use special micronaps mid-air. Scientists believe they switch off half their brain while flying, like cruise control for birds. You'll see them slicing through the skies above alpine valleys, especially in summer, when they breed in rocky crevices and old buildings. And when autumn comes, they head to Africa, flying non-stop across the Mediterranean and the Sahara. But here's the twist. Even though they spend most of their life in the air, they're still vulnerable down here. Urban light pollution, pesticide loss of flying insects, and changing wind patterns from climate shifts could all mess with their finely tuned flying lifestyle. And since they're rarely seen up close, they're easy to overlook. But trust us, once you know what they are, you'll never see a streak across the sky the same way again. So here's your question. If something almost never touches the ground, does it still belong to the earth? Let us know what you think in the comments. Next, and final, we'll descend back to the forest floor to meet one of the Alps' largest, loudest, and most theatrical birds, a creature of legend, feathers, and full-volume romance. Some birds sing, some birds dance, and some birds put on a full-blown Broadway show. Meet the western capercaillie, a bird so big, so bold, and so theatrical that people once thought it was part myth, part moose. It's the largest grouse species in Europe, with males the size of a small turkey. Feathers? A shimmering mix of deep black, blue-green, and brown, with a dramatic fan-shaped tail that opens like a peacock's warhammer. But the real drama happens in spring. That's when males step into their alpine stage, clearing in the forest, and begin one of the most bizarre and unforgettable courtship displays in the bird world. Picture this: tail fanned wide, wings spread stiff, beard puffed out, and a voice like a haunted espresso machine. Seriously, its song is a bizarre sequence of clicks, pops, wheezes, and sharp metallic notes. You don't just hear it, you feel it. Fun fact, during mating season, the capercaillie becomes so focused on impressing females, it may charge at humans, deer, and even snowmobiles. Yep, this bird literally fights for love. But here's the twist. The western capercaillie is now in trouble. Forest fragmentation, disturbance from tourism, and climate change have all taken a toll on its habitat. In many alpine regions, its numbers are quietly declining. Some countries have had to launch reintroduction programs just to keep it from vanishing. Which leads us to the big question: can something this loud, this iconic, and this ancient still disappear without us noticing? Drop your answer in the comments. And there you have it, 15 incredible birds of the Alps. From sky acrobats to cliff dwellers, skeleton crunchers to forest opera singers. This mountain range isn't just about snow and skiing. It's alive with wings, song, and stories. If you enjoyed this journey through alpine skies and shadows, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next adventure into Earth's wildest corners. Which alpine bird blew your mind the most? Let us know below. Until next time, keep your eyes to the peaks and your heart in the wild.